Jeez, it's been a while since I've, recorded on a microphone.
Yummy. We love weird noises.
When they say I've reached my peak, they mean, my microphone. I'm a genius. I'm not new to the internet, and I'm not new to furries. The furry community has been around since the late 1900s. Let me fact check that later. In lieu of Looney Tunes and the ever-climbing popularity of Disney's Michael Mouse. Since I was a kid, I liked these funky little dudes just waltzing around, talking and sitting like a people.
That's how they get you.
When I was around 11, I was introduced to Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was all downhill from there. It took me no time at all to dive into the weird side of YouTube and accidentally watch vor content because Sonic was in it. But because I've been in the internet for a long time, that means I've also been exposed to people's visceral reactions to anything anthropomorphic. Hatred for furries as a whole, for Sonic, eventually My Little Pony, and even the subsets of fandom like self-inserts and original characters. Back then they were called fan characters, usually. They were mocked and hated very openly using people's opinion machines. I had very little shame in middle school and made countless OCs and pictures of myself interacting with my favorite characters. I had a blast. I posted nearly every day and it was a great time. However, as I grew older, those criticisms and hateful comments started really getting to me. I was there when cringe started really taking off as a common internet term. The last thing I wanted was to be counted as cringe. So I condemned all my old shit and started making characters that are filtered a million times through the Mary Sue litmus test. It's since been disavowed by its creator. I tried to keep having fun and doing what made me happy, but there was always that little voice in the back of my head telling me that it was a bad look to do things like make serious Sonic fan art or to attempt making a persona again. Just try to be a bit more normal and things will work out fine. Turns out, though, that people really like hearing about your old cringe stuff. I had a video reach like 1K views within a year of making it, and it was very surreal because I was using the word cringe in an ironic fashion. I got lots of comments describing their old OC and declaring them cringe and bad when they sounded just fine. I sort of fell into an interest of horror media somewhere around 2019, and my content whittled off into a separate blog, and the community I was in really embraced making whatever you want. However you want. Especially if the how included gore. And it's what was it? Developed taste? Adapted taste? Whatever the fuck people say about alcohol. I sort of got jaded by it though, and I've crawled back to the normie side like a whimpering little fucking worm. I feel like I did walk out with a lot less shame about my work than I had before. I used to be very quick to go, I worked hard on this, but it kinda sucks! And now it just is very neutral to a positive relationship. The normalization of hating someone for the embarrassment you feel is just a projection and shouldn't be my problem, bucko. I'm still unlearning the weird underlining embarrassment of making furry content because it took me a long time to really get comfortable talking about my ideas with friends, as if they would care. I've learned that there are more furries out there than you'd think, many of which just kind of hide that part of them for various reasons. Either they're also embarrassed about it, or it's just not their primary interest, or it's like a quiet hobby kind of thing. Usually it's just casual interest. I'm sure at some point my interest in furries might wane a bit, but it's never gone away. You find that certain things will be a part of you forever, and that can't be ignored. Like your fingers. You like having those, right? Of course, every community is going to have their Bobo the Clown, just their own point of contention that really makes things difficult for optics. See, I've not really been part of the furry community since Cami Mile was in her MS Paint days and I was turning 13. So to sort of get myself up to speed, I watched a bunch of furry videos, and the major constant pet peeve was, well, a few stains, you could say. It's a common misconception that furries want to screw the pooch, if you will. And while I haven't been accused of that in the time that I've posted this stuff, I know that it's a common argument against anyone that so much as has a fursona. I think that's where some of the shame really rears its ugly head, because even though everyone who's safe to be around knows that they'd never do that shit, there's still the frustrating bit of, oh god, not that shit again. I've seen folk consider just quitting over this type of stuff. It's discouraging. Having these instances can really make you question yourself and the content you make, and I've been in this loop since I joined Tumblr. I'm still there, mainly since shitter might self-destruct, and I just can't find myself returning to Reddit. I feel like no matter where I ended up, I'd still be learning about this shit anyway, but it was there that I learned a lot of things about the world. Some of it was really good. The rest of it was poopy and gross and icky and terrible. Like learning that things were more important to me have pretty terrible underlying issues, or someone prominent in the community, or God forbid your friend turned out to be a major creep, and that thing is just kind of ruined for a while. Or that people will make wide assumptions about a very large and old community and refuse to change their mind about it, no matter how harmful that misinformation might be. That certainly rings a bell. There's all kinds of things to unpack while being on the internet. There are truths out there that are really painful to learn about, but are necessary to keep you and those around you safe. Keeping an eye out for dog whistles and flags that potentially dangerous people could carry is very important. The block and report buttons are your friend. That's not to say that just because these things exist within these communities means that you have to take accountability for their actions, because ultimately these communities are centered around passion for a specific thing, and typically that specific thing does not involve a crime. Crimes are just generally bad ethics around that subject. Just because they're bad faith actors and all around assholes that make a lot of noise doesn't mean you're one of them. So long as you evaluate your own behavior and don't try to make decisions for or invade the spaces of other people, you're golden. A really good quote is, "Don't kill the part of you that's cringe, kill the part that cringes." Just kill in general. That's also a good idea. Anyway, I'm gonna go lie down.